Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another session on Google Cloud. Today, we're going to have a study jump session. So, I will talk about what is a study jump session in a moment. So, previously, what we used to do is to run sessions to talk about Google Cloud topics in different areas. We already talked about the infrastructure previously. Some session. Look out at the YouTube sessions for on this channel. We talked about networking. We talked about security, deploying applications. We talked about scaling in Google Cloud. So we were doing those sessions, talking about different topics, and we were doing demos. We're changing the format a little bit here going forward, so everybody will hopefully would benefit. So the idea here, we were still going on and talking about topics in Google Cloud in different areas on a monthly basis. But now, instead of having just one session a month, we will be having two sessions. One session is to introduce a new area of Google Cloud, and another session, like today's session, will give you the opportunity to practice, to have some hands-on with the platform itself. So you would be basically instead of just looking at the theory and just looking at the demos that I will do in these sessions, will give you a chance to practice, to give you an environment where you will be able to see these topics that we talk about, and you will practice them, and you will basically learn new skills in Google Cloud. So today's topic, we're going to start from the infrastructure modernization. How do we create resources and manage resources in Google Cloud? So let me just talk a little bit first about what a study jam is, and that would be give you an idea. So on a monthly basis, you will be able to do a different set of those labs in an environment called Qwiklabs. But before I do that, let me just talk a little bit about what a cloud study jam is about. So a study jam is basically an event for the community. So obviously here we're doing it for GDG MENA as part of this initiatives that we are doing here on the digital days. So we bring in different people around. So it doesn't matter what level of expertise you're having. So here we come in as a community and basically help each other, not just from myself only, but anybody who is on the session. They will be able to network together, to help each other. And the study jam is for a set of labs like you're going to see. So it's not just for this hour that we're not covering. We'll give you the tools that you're going to be using. And then during the full month or between these two sessions, you go along and we give you the tools and the platform where you will be practicing. And obviously you can reach out. You can reach out to myself or basically you've got now a chat channel where you can exchange your emails and maybe help each other as well. So this is what a study jam is. So it's part of the GDG Group's ecosystem. So you will find those across all the globe. And I'm kind of excited and happy to be sharing this and bringing this kind of initiative into the MENA area this year. So we will be hopefully in the next few months we will be running few study jams in different topics. Like I'm gonna show you what kind of things that we will be doing over the next few months. So obviously, why do you want to run a study jam? Like I said, giving you the opportunity to get new skills, preparing you for whatever you are doing. Maybe you need to start a career in Google Cloud. Give you the opportunity to start your journey into Google Cloud. Maybe you are looking to get certified. So certification is one of those things that this kind of study jams will help you, gives you a kickstart into that area. And also, as part of this study jam, what you will be able to achieve is what we call a Google Cloud badge. A Google Cloud badge is something that Google started not long ago, and it will basically be kind of a proof for you to say that you are an expert in this area. So you already know the skills, you practiced, and you can share that badge in your whatever that might be, your social media account, your profile on LinkedIn. So it does add value to your profile, your professional profile, obviously. So this is basically the timeline here of a study jump. So obviously, thanks or no thanks to the COVID situation that we do this online, but hopefully we started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So hopefully we will be able to organize this kind of events, hopefully in the future, where we can meet live and face to face, and we'll be able to find a venue to do that. But in the meantime, we will be doing this online in this as part of this initiative on a monthly basis. So this is where basically we will provide you, as I said, with what we are holding here today is a particular track that I'm going to talk about shortly. And then as part of that, when you finish this set of lab, which we call a quest, which will be a set of labs at the end of there, this is where you're going to be earning this badge. And in the meantime, obviously, we are here to support you. We are here to help you in order to achieve your first badge in Qwiklabs as part of this study jump. So obviously we registered here. So this is the different tracks that we will be looking at. So we are starting with this track actually, the infrastructure and architecture. So we will be looking at GCP essentials. So today is going to be about creating those resources and managing them. So there is a set of labs that we're going to go through, and then there is deploying applications. So if you have a developer, we will help you out with the study jam if how to deploy applications. We already did a session on deploying into Google Cloud with different compute options where you can deploy your code in things like virtual machines, App Engine service, cloud functions that we talked about, Kubernetes engine, Cloud Run, those kind of compute options that you will be able to practice and get up to speed with these services and earn those skills. So and then we've got cloud architecture. Again, we're taking it to another level. So this is like a more advanced than the essential one. You will be working with Kubernetes, deployment manager to do kind of infrastructure as a code, kind of deployment of solutions into GCP. You will be looking at some networking in there as well, doing some CI/CD pipelines as well with Jenkins and Kubernetes engine. And looking at the SRE perspective, how to do kind of logging and monitoring and troubleshooting services in GCP. And then there is like a challenge at the end. So a challenge, basically the difference between a lab or a quest and a challenge is that a quest is basically a set of labs. And in them you will find the set of instructions, how to do the tasks. So it's like they will guide you step by step how to achieve or how to deploy a solution end to end. The challenge is something else. The challenge is taking those skills that you learned during the labs that you do as part of the quest. But in this case here, in the challenge, basically they don't give you the steps to follow. They will give you what the end solution that they want you to deploy, and you will do it basically without giving you any steps to follow. So you bring in all that kind of what you've learned during the set of labs that you have done, and with the challenge you have to do your things on your own without following any instructions at all. So this is the infrastructure track, and then we will move it into deep dive into security and identity fundamentals. So how do we give access to resources to GCP? How do we give roles and permissions to different services, to different groups, and then do some kind of some networking stuff in there. So things like when we talk about the networking session, this is where we're going to be looking at VPC network peering. We will look at authentication using a product called Identity Aware Proxy. So this is the one that we already talked about at in the security session. So refer back to that session to understand what the identity and network proxy is in there. And then we will kind of move on and do more with Kubernetes, in the Google Cloud, and then we look at Kubernetes solutions. So another track, a little bit advanced, when we learn all those skills to take it and notch up in there. And then we've got other tracks. We've got data engineering track. We've got machine learning track. So in here in machine learning, we will be looking at baseline data. So we look at the quick start into the platform, into different things that are available from machine learning and data engineering, things like data prep, data flow for doing some transformation, the AI platform and the different services in there. And then we kind of specialize in different areas. So we'll do something about language processing, image processing with the APIs, with the pre-trained APIs, how to analyze images, how do we do with language processing, how we do entity and sentiment analysis. So with this, just to prove to you that you don't have to be a machine learning engineer to start doing machine learning stuff. Here, Google Cloud, it gives you the tools to leverage out of the box, not starting to develop machine learning algorithms from scratch. So basically, you need to start some at a high level, bring in that already. You don't have to reinvent the wheels, basically, and leverage those capabilities to start kind of having these insights into machine learning. So and then if we're gonna have kind of more advanced stuff with TensorFlow, and then do some kind of real-time machine learning with Cloud ML, and moving into kind of machine learning areas that are more advanced. And this is here where kind of taking you to another level if you want to specialize in machine learning. So obviously, before each of those topics, we will be covering areas in the sessions where we're going to bring in new services, and then the session that follows up. This is where we bring in the study jumps to help you to practice and bring those skills up. And then there is a big set of one study jump that is kind of referred directly to BigQuery. So it's a lot of stuff that we're going to do with BigQuery. Like you can see here, some basic ones to get you started up, and then intermediate one with marketing and analysts, and then we bring in BigQuery capabilities of machine learning for structured data, because machine learning at the end of the day is not about doing machine learning for images and videos and text and sentiment analysis and all that. That's what we call unstructured data. But as you can see here, there's a lot that can be done with structured data. Actually, there's more we can do with structured data with machine learning than non-unstructured data. So that's what we're going to do at this for that BigQuery. So this is basically all the study jumps that we're going to be doing. As I said today, well, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to do a study jam around how do we create resources in GCP, and gives you the kind of the platform that we're going to be using. So the platform that we're going to be using is called Qwiklabs. If you haven't heard of Qwiklabs before, Qwiklabs is an environment that you will be able to, Google gives you like the platform to practice. So they give you a real environment where you will bring in those study jam labs into action. And the Qwiklabs environment is not simulation platform. It's actually a real environment that you would get to with the code that I'm going to give you. You will be able to provision real resources into GCP. So let me just bring in here the Qwiklabs environment. So I'm going to bring a link here. And let me, in the meantime, check if there is any questions here. So what I'm going to be sharing with you, I'm going to be sharing with you a link that I want you to go to. So if I share this in the chat, So this is the link. I'm going to put it here in my window here. So if you open, probably maybe better an incognito window, and go access that link. And this is what you're going to be looking kind of on the screen. This is what you will find in here. So we're looking at this track here, infrastructure modernization. So I'll try to slow down a little bit here, so I'll give a chance to everybody to follow. And I will check the chat window in the meantime. And what I would like you to do is to enroll for the first one here. And then the code that you're going to be using is, I'm going to be sharing in the window as well. One S hyphen Dubai hyphen 1010. So what you do here, you paste that here and specify that obviously I'm not a robot. In this case, I've got mountain hills. Yeah, verify, submit. And then you have to join to enroll into this quest. Enter your name, your email address, so on and so forth. Company, if you have one. And let's use a password. And then you click on create account, and that will be username and password, the email that you use and the password that you've created in there. Okay, and then once you enroll, it will take you to the very first lab. What I would like you to do there is to start that lab. And I would like you to leave it run for 5 minutes. You have to leave it run for 5 minutes. So hopefully you didn't get any message regarding that you don't have credit. So once you enroll, you should get 5 credits to do this lab. So you should leave it run for 5 minutes. And when you leave it to run for 5 minutes, basically you will get the credits to do all the other labs. So you can by all means start this lab. This is just like a quick lab to get you basically familiar with the Qwiklabs environment. So when you do start lab, basically what you get a username and password here for the platform. So here, like you see, start lab running for 5 minutes, and then basically this is what this all about. Just to run it, so you can basically get those credits to be able to do the other labs that we're going to see later on. So usually what you get with each lab, I'm going to go through that. So I'm going to leave that 5 minutes to run for everyone. And then usually what you will get with the other labs is you do get access to a Google Cloud Console through this open Google Console, and you get a username and password for that. And I'm just checking if there is any questions. Anybody is not having is not able to log in. So for the recording later on, if somebody is accessing the recording later on, it's going to be exactly the same. So you still have access to that. So basically, I'm just going to reshare that study jam session link and the code. This is what maybe the team will have that in the YouTube comments in there for later on, so people will just have that and the code as well. So for anybody who's joining the session or the recording later on, they can just refer to these links and the instructions that I went through during this video. Just go to, I don't know what minutes we are in. Just go to the section where we talked about enroll and then enter the code, run the lab for 5 minutes, and you should be able to, you should be good to start the other labs. So questions, I'll wait to see if there's anything in there. Okay. Yeah. So if anybody is with from any GDG groups accessing this, please share this with your groups. So people, basically other groups in the MENA region, will benefit from basically doing these labs and getting new skills in the Google Cloud Platform. Right. So I think just under 5 minutes running my lab. And if I go back to once I do that, we will see. I don't know what. Obviously, is the quest, is the idea is you will be able to do it over the month. So the idea here is going to show you depending on the time. So we've got half an hour to go. We will see how much we're going to cover in half an hour. But once you get the idea of how to run these steps, the Qwiklabs environment is a really good platform. It's very well documented. They give you all the steps, and they give you some kind of summary notes about the services that you're going to be running. So you won't find any problems running that if you follow the instruction carefully and you read what you are doing, so you understand those topics. And refer back to my sessions that I've done. I've done few sessions already on Google Cloud, so it will be handy to just go through them, because a lot of things that we cover in this Qwiklabs we already talked about in the session that I've done before. I've done introduction to GCP. I covered some networking. I've covered some things about compute engine, security, scaling. I talked about deploying applications in GCP. So few interesting sessions. So refer back to them if you want to understand something that is part of these labs. So you will find references in there as well. Okay, so I'm over 5 minutes here, so I can end this lab. This is just basically to provision those credits for me as part of this. Okay, satisfied. And then what we can do, we can jump into our first lab here. So create and manage cloud resources. So we start with this creating virtual machines lab. This is a one that we can start with. So if we open this one, and go for start lab. And if you have left that lab to run for 5 minutes, you should be able to run the labs for free afterwards. It shouldn't be asking you for credits. And what you get here is Open Console. This is where it's going to take you to the Google Cloud Platform console. And for each different lab, you will get different credentials for each lab. So don't use your basically your email address or anything that you registered to Qwiklabs. What you do here is you use this username and password. So what I will do here is I click on Open Console. It will open a tab for me. And I will copy this username. So what you can do, don't use kind of select like this, because that's actually prone for error. So you probably can miss a line or a letter or anything like that. Use this square. So what you get with this square is just click on it, and that will copy the username for you. And that's what you're going to be using in the console. Next. And you copy the password as well. Paste it. Accept that. Now what I'm going to get is a real environment. This is a real kind of Google Cloud Platform. This is not simulation. So I'm getting provisioned these resources. So I accept the terms. Not particularly care about email updates because I'm using a temporary account. And now this is basically Google Cloud Platform dashboard. This is where I can see all the resources, so on and so forth. Maybe I should make this a little bit bigger, slightly. So what are we working on in this lab is working on virtual machines, which is the compute engine service in GCP. So what I can do here is scroll down here, go to compute engine. So obviously there is loads of services in GCP. Usually you have to scroll down to get to a particular one. So what you can do here, you can pin a service, so you can have it on the top of the list. So when I click on that pin, it will go on top. So if all the items that I frequently access, I will pin them to the top. So I will have easier access to them, going back and forth from the instructions of the lab to the platform. I will always find it on the top. So you can see here the instructions for the lab. So first of all, you will have an overview about the service that we are using, in this case, Compute Engine. So it gives you a summary what Compute Engine is. It will be probably a good idea to have a notes document, copy and paste this kind of very useful information for you to go back to as notes, to understand that. What is Compute Engine, what can I do with it, and things like that. So basically just VMs. So here, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be creating virtual machines with a console. We're going to be creating virtual machines with the command line. And again, refer back to our sessions. I think the third one or something about the Google Cloud Platform infrastructure. We covered Compute Engine. You'll find some demos in there as well. And then what we're going to be doing, deploy web server and connect it to a virtual machine. So prerequisites, not that much, to be honest. We will be doing some editing to some files and things. So just nano or buy or something like that to edit some files to change them. And they will tell you how to access the lab. So we already done that. We opened the console. We used our username and password that we've given here. And they tell you how to access those the menu. So this is the hamburger menu on the top corner here that we see. So this is where I click back and forth to have a look at my resources there. To access the command line, to run command line for creating resources in GCP, if I go back here, this is the Activate Cloud Shell. So what is Cloud Shell? Is basically when I do that, when I activate it, what is happening here is there is a small virtual machine that is created specifically for me, for my use. For every user will get their own virtual machine in this case. And this virtual machine will have the SDK. So there's the software development kit. So all those tools that you would need to create resources in GCP, like gcloud command, the gcloud command, which is short for Google Cloud command, to create any resources in GCP. So instead of going to the menu and create those and click on some things to create some resource like we're gonna see, here you can see the equivalent form of it in the command line, gcloud instances, compute instances create, and you will be able to create instances like we're going to see. So this is what's in there. Also, this SDK hasn't got just the gcloud. So in Google Cloud, we have cloud storage. So cloud storage also have its own command that you can talk to, which is gsutil. Gsutil is a command line to talk to the cloud storage services. And also there is a BQ command, and the BQ command is part of the SDK as well, to talk to the BigQuery service. So if you want to run queries or to have connection from BigQuery to other services, you leverage the command line if you are kind of more of a geeky that wants to run commands rather than use the GUI. You've got all those that you can integrate with. Also, this SDK you can install in your own laptop if you wanted to. So if you Google the Google Cloud SDK, you can install it and you can authorize it to integrate it with your project as well. So that's what's there. So we've got we've got the console, which is here. I can make this bigger or smaller depending on which one, or I can close it and come back to it if I wanted to. So let me go back to the lab itself. So we have activated the shell. And now they're asking us to list what is the our active account. So again, I don't want you to type this. It would be good to type it as it is, so you practice these commands. But Qwiklabs are making things easier for us. So what you can do here is you copy, use this square on the box to guarantee that you're copying the whole line of the command. So here, what we're doing, we can list the active accounts that we are using. So what I can do here, I can go back to my Cloud Shell, paste this, authorize it, and it will tell me what account I'm using. So this is the student 04 that Qwiklabs have provisioned for me to be using on this account. So on this project. So I can see this is the active account that I'm working with. I'm happy with that. I can list the project ID with the command gcloud config list project. I can also work with that. And that's the project that's got provisioned for me. You can see it in there, which is basically this one here. that you can see that that's been created for me on Qwiklabs. Resolution is not that great. And then moving on from that, I've got my projects. Uh, and this, they take you to another explanation of what is regions and zones. So in GCP, the infrastructure as a whole, what you have here is what we call regions and zones. So each kind of continent in the globe, they've got presence of Google Cloud services in data centers. So what are those across the globe? If you go Google Cloud, if you Google for Google Cloud locations, you will be able to see where are those. So if I go here, there is 25 regions, and also we have 82 zones. So a region is basically, like you see here, cities across the globe. So you will have loads in Europe and the US. This area started to pick up as well. So you've got here in India, Mumbai and Delhi, these two regions. And each of those regions, those cities, you will have data centers in each one of them. You will find at least, or most of the time, you will find 3 data centers per city. So this is where you will create your VMs. So the VMs will be created in a data center in one of those regions, and a data center is a zone, and the region is a city. So that's what we're saying here. So anything that is in blue here means that we have a presence of an operational 3 data centers at least. The only one that's got 4 data centers is the one in Iowa, which is the very first data center that Google has built. Anything that is in white, this is what the future regions that come in the very near future. So the one that we're looking for in the region is the Doha, which is coming very soon. So hopefully in the next few months we will see the Doha region come in blue, which means that we will have data centers in Doha where we can provision resources in our region here. So this is what they're talking about here when it talks to understanding regions and zones. This is another one that you probably can copy and paste in your notes document to go back to. So when creating an instance, so they give you here what you want to create. So as part of this, when you give you the instruction what to do, at the end of each of the instructions, like you see, you check progress. And that check progress, you need to do exactly what they want you to do in this task. So if they ask you to create a virtual machine called GCE Lab, you need to make sure that this is GCE Lab, because otherwise if you make a spelling mistake or you create it in different zone, and then you basically try to do check progress, you will find, okay, because that's an automated system in the back end that will check the instruction against the tasks that you are doing. And if you don't do them exactly the same, then this check progress will fail and you won't be able to get the score higher here, which means that your lab will, you won't be able to get this skill badge at the end if you don't complete all the labs. So here they're asking us to create this virtual machine named GCE Lab in US Central 1F. It's a data center here. So this is the Iowa data center that I'm telling you. It's got 4 data centers. We're going to see that. And then you follow exactly these instructions of configuration. So if I go to maybe minimize that, go to compute engine, I put it right at the top. So I go VM instances. And I can just go create instance. They're telling me to call it GCE Lab. So I'll change the name. PCE Lab. They're telling me is in US Central 1, Iowa, and it's in F. You can see here that I've got four of those zones, which means four data centers. If I go to any other data in any other regions, let's say, what we got here, anything, Delhi, for example, the closest to our region, and it's all three. So any other ones, you can see here they are three, except for this US Central 1 Iowa, you will find four. They're asking us to be doing it as US Central 1 F data center. And then what else they're telling us? N1, two vCPUs. This is what I'm gonna go and select here. N1, first generation. Two vCPUs. I'll leave everything, the details. I'm gonna change just the one that they're telling us to change. So for the boot disk, they're telling us 10 gigabytes balanced persistent disk, the OS image Debian, GNU Linux. I think this is the default anyway. So if I go here, yeah, balanced persistent disk, 10 GBU Debian. I'm happy with that. I think, yeah. Allow HTTP traffic because we are installing here a web server. So I'm gonna, this would allow this, basically creating a firewall rule to allow traffic coming to this server. Allow that, and then click on create. And I'll leave all the other ones, the default settings. I'm not changing anything. Let me check if there's any questions or anything like that. While this is getting created, it's going to take 20 to something like that, 20 to 30 seconds, very, very quick. And moving on from there, they're going to ask us to create a second virtual machine, I think using the command line. So actually, I would need to SSH into this. And SSH in is as, let me just hide this info. My virtual machine is there. I can click on SSH. I'm basically logging into this machine. All this transfer of the keys is done for me. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There you go. Dismiss that. Getting out the window. And I'm gonna sudo to be admin. Like that. I'm on root. And then I'm doing some apt-get update to update components on this server. That's done. And I'm going to install Nginx on this. I am root, so I'll be able to do that. And I'm just need to make sure that Nginx is running here. Just checking that. And you can see the services are running. Perfect. And I should have an external IP. So I'll click on this. And this is my Nginx server is up and running. So all successful up to this point. If I check my progress, I've got green because I followed exactly what they asked me to do, the same configuration, same naming convention that they are using and everything. So should be all fine. I've finished 50% of this lab. The second part is going to be creating with Qwiklabs. So what I can do here, And by the way, if you want to see the command line from the console, so if I create, I'm not just going to create a virtual machine here, but I'm just show you a way to uh, to see what you can. Just make this smaller. So when you create an instance, if you notice right at the end of that window, if you scroll down, let me make this maybe a little bit because how it's clear. So if you want to know the very command line for the VM that you are creating, what it looks like, just click on this command line and it will give you the full command to create a virtual machine. And obviously here it's got all the default values. So we only interested on the name of the virtual machine, the zone where it's created, and if I want to leave everything as the default, I will stop just giving it a name and it will create virtual machine for me. So here basically is taking all those options that we selected, whether they default, whether we've changed them, and it's created the full G-Cloud reference for this command in there. So that's one way to look at it. But here, obviously, they given us the command to create a virtual machine with the name. So I can go back to the command line. Yeah. Let me clear that. Make it a bit bigger here. And I can open it in a different tab actually, just to be more comfortable with the sizing and things. And then I can copy this command. They're telling us to create a different machine called GCE Lab 2, machine type N1 standard 2 in the same data center, US Central 1F. So I can copy that and clear this. And actually, this is the SSH to the other one. So the one that I want to be in is the Cloud Shell session. So let me close that. Yeah. Make it bigger. Okay. And paste that command, gcloud compute, like I told you earlier, gcloud compute instances create GCE Lab 2, not the default machine type. So I'm specifying machine type N1 standard 2, the one that we see in the menu, different selection of VM types, and then the zone which data center I'm going to be creating that. So run this here. This will create a virtual machine for me. So if I go to have a look at the at my instances here, I go back. And this is GCE Lab 2 now. So I've got one VM with Nginx installed. I've got another VM, which is GCE 2, Lab 2 here, which I created with the command line. Check progress again. And this VM has been created successfully. And if I want to see all the defaults, I can run Cloud Compute Instances create to see all the options if I want to see what kind of options I get as help to create a virtual machine. So if I run that, give me all this G-Cloud, what the options I have to use if I want to be more specific, if I want to customize my virtual machine to any of those levels. But you can do that from the console anyway to see what options you can change in there. So they're asking us here to do afterwards. Yeah, the other one that I can do is I can, from virtual machine number 1, so I've got 2 virtual machines here, I can SSH, instead of SSH from Cloud Shell, I can go to my VM here, the GCE lab, and I can G-Cloud compute SSH to all the virtual machine from this one. specifying that data center. So when I run that, now I am kind of from that virtual machine logged in into the second virtual machine without going through the Cloud Shell or SSH from the console. Okay, follow the steps. And that's it. So I've got two virtual machines. I'm connecting from, have Nginx installed on one, and I've SSH'd from one to another without any issues. So, and this is the end of this lab. So here, what I tell you, test your knowledge about Google Cloud by taking our quiz. Through which of the following ways you can create a virtual machine? Through gcloud command or through the console? It's actually both. And this is what we demonstrated in this demo. So I can just submit that, and I'm pretty much done with this lab. So once I finish, I will review the instructions. I will copy paste anything that is interested in. So those kind of reviews that I had in the beginning, kind of summary of regions and zones, for example. I can take the link documentation for the gcloud here, for example, and the very first bit where we talked about an overview of what compute engine is. And these two commands, what you usually find very, very frequently to set the config of the project or the zone that you're working in, and things. So those two, I'm just going to scroll down and show you which ones. Yeah, this one here. So I can usually, when you see something in the Qwiklabs is in this blue or red, means it's important. So I would copy that as well. This is to set the default zone, the default region where I'm running this command. So when I run gcloud create an instance, if I did set the default by this command, I don't have to add it to the end of the command each time I want to create a VM or anything like that. So as soon as I set those default values, I can just gcloud compute instances create. It will always create it in these default spaces where what I'm kind of specified in by setting up with gcloud config set compute the zone and the region, and it will always be the same. So this lab is done. So I can end this lab, submit. Give it 5-star, and pretty much I'm done with this one. So and this is the idea about this quest. So you go along and do these labs. So the next one is you're going to be creating a Windows virtual machine. So so if you have done this one, we've created Linux in this case. You can do the other one instead if you wanted to. If you want to create a Windows machine, so you can RDP to it and do exactly the same thing. You can basically ping one machine to the other, or RDP from inside one machine to a Windows machine to another one. You can. There is another lab for Cloud Shell and gcloud, and then Kubernetes engine. Very, very basic, creating a cluster, and then setting up a load balancer as well at the end. And then you will have a challenge. So this is basically taking all these kind of things that they told you to do step by step to follow. The challenge is actually, if I open it, what you will see here is giving you an overview about the challenge. So what you will be tested on in this case, you're not going to be given any steps to follow. Creating an instance, create a 3-node Kubernetes cluster. So anything that you've done in the labs, they give you the instructions. Now you have to do it on your own. So you're not following any steps. So 3 things are going to be created: instance, a Kubernetes cluster, and run a simple service, and then creating an HTTPS load balancer. So you can see here there is no steps to follow. They just give you the names of the service that the challenge scenario, basically what is the name of the VM, and then basically gives you some information about what kind of machine type to create. So we give you the specification for that, and pretty much you're done with that challenge. And with that, you will get a badge, a Google Cloud badge that you can showcase on your profile. and it's basically part of your learning journey with Google Cloud. And then our next session, we will be advertising, which is going to be at the end of this month. We're going to talk about a new topic that will help us to do another study jam next month. So watch out for this session. So as I said, going forward, we will have two Google Cloud sessions with me. One introducing a new topic that is related to a study jam that we're going to do afterwards. And in the meantime, obviously you've got 1 month now to finish that. So we are the 9th today. You've got 3 weeks. You've got access to Qwiklabs through that. So again, if you will find the information about the link to the study jam and the code in the YouTube video there. So for anybody that's going to watch this recording afterwards, and also what you can do if you have any issues. Let me share mine. You can reach. I've got a Twitter account. Also, you can reach out to me by email if you're struggling with any of those labs. By all means, I can try to help you in there. But I've got also you can ping me on LinkedIn or Twitter as well if you have any issues or ask questions about those this particular study jam. And with that, if there isn't any questions, yes, good luck with this study jam. I'm looking forward to see you on our next session. Watch out, subscribe to the channel, look out for future sessions, and thank you for being with us tonight. All the best and good night, and see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum.